got a nice bluegill on here. Drilled a jig spinner. I'll show you that in a sec. And we're gonna have some fresh sunfish for lunch. Troy Smyka here, Great Day in the Water Guide Service. Welcome to this episode of Fishing and Hunting the North Country. We're on a West Metro Twin Cities lake, and we are looking for bedding sunfish. We got that magic water temp of about 69 or 70, which is usually when they get started in early June here. And we're hoping to get a bunch just like this, keep a few for a meal, and let the rest go. Hey there, just a couple casts after that first bluegill. We got another, a little more colorful one here. I'll go through the lure here. I'm going to put him in the live well, so we're going to keep about 8 for a fresh lunch. Turn that live well off. Alright, then I'll show you the bait. We're kind of searching right now, so we're using my favorite panfish search bait for any time of the year for sunfish, crappies, or perch. And that's, we'll play in the old beetle spin, but it's a VMC Moon Eye jig, 1/16 ounce, with a small jig spinner. Lots of companies make them. This happens to be a Cabela's one. And then I've got a 2-inch Berkeley ripple shad, power bait ripple shad on there. Any kind of soft plastic on there would work, a minnow, a twister tail. I just like this little thumper tail on there. And you can see I've got a fluorocarbon leader just for less tangle and a little more abrasion resistance, up to a tiny barrel swivel that takes line twist out. And then the fire line is the main line. That 4-pound test fire line is on a small Fluger President spinning reel, which is on a St. Croix Panfish Series rod. This happens to be a 7-footer. And because I'm pitching and reeling that in, we've got a moderate action. You can see a lot of bend in the rod. You just slow roll that, and those fish can inhale that bait, get it in, and you just sweep forward gently, and you got them. We'll stay after them here. Hey, my son's got a nice bluegill. Nice pretty one, buddy. On that jig spinner. Yeah, that's a nice pretty one there, buddy. Put him in for a meal. Working on a fresh meal today. Good job, buddy. Thumbs up. Hey there. We're getting kind of hit and missing them, so I switched up to a bobber. Got a, that's a hybrid, isn't it? Got a hybrid sunfish here. I'll put him in the live well and I'll show you that rig. Have our fresh little meal here pretty quick. Okay, same St. Croix Panfish Series rod, 7-footer with the same Fluger reel, 4-pound test fire line, but just have a clip-on torpedo style bobber, so not much resistance. Cast well, goes down quick. On the fire line, then I've got a barrel swivel with some fluorocarbon, and then that same 16th ounce VMC Moon Eye jig, but then just a little soft plastic tube on there. You could be anything. You could use a small little hair jig on there too. That from BMC, that roach tungsten jig works really good. You can get a really small jig on there that way, and it would have enough weight. And just throwing that out where the beds are at here, and we got sunfish galore. Hey, it's got bobber buried, and look at this sow. Big pumpkin seed, bigger than my hand. Again, that soft plastic on that little VMC jig underneath bobber. That's a 9-inch pumpkin seed there. We're whacking them around good. Hey there, got another. This one a bluegill, not quite as big as that pumpkin seed, but still not bad. On that soft plastic and jig under the bobber. Hey there, got a nice bluegill. Switch back to the jig spinner. Kind of seem to be hitting both. Nice bluegill there. And his bedding colors are just getting started. We're right about 69, 70 degree water temp. And Parker. Oh, nice pretty bluegill. Not as big as some of the other ones, but a pretty one. Yeah, got his bedding colors. Nice job, buddy. Hey, another good bluegill here. Oh, that's a real nice, colorful one. Drilled that jig spinner. It's a good search bait, but then sometimes they'll just keep hitting it. But sometimes if they're holding real tight to the beds, like in a few spots, then we switch to the bobber with the jig and soft plastic that you can leave in front of them to, if they don't want to chase, you can dangle it right in front of them. And then they eventually get mad and hit it. Hey there, just got whacked. This one feels pretty good. Yeah, we got a little weed with him too, but yeah, that's a beauty there. That is a 9-inch bull bluegill there. He drilled that jig spinner almost completely swallowed it. You can just have fun. We're filming one here, one there. In between, sometimes we got doubles and can't film. We're just pounding them. Hey there. Got a, boy, a big fat female pumpkin seed there. Got this one on the bobber. We find them with the jig spinners, and we try the bobbers and get them that way. They're hitting everything. And my son's got one here. Got into the weeds a little bit. Is he still under there? Oh yeah. The weeds are splash. Oh, that looks like a nice bluegill there, buddy. Oh yeah, that's a real nice bluegill, isn't it? That's a beast. Alright. Good job, buddy. Hey, yeah. Another pumpkin seed. Nice fat pumpkin seed there on the jig and plastic under the bobber. Good size, strong, aggressive fish. And Parker. Oh, a nice pretty bluegill. Not as big as some of the other ones, but a pretty one. Yeah, got his bedding colors. Nice job, buddy. All right, got another one here on the jig under the bobber. Ooh, big fat pumpkin seed. You notice when we're lipping them, the pumpkin seeds and hybrids have a little bigger mouths than the bluegills, so they're a little easier to lip. So, my son Parker's got one coming in here. Looks like a big pumpkin seed. So we caught all three species today: bluegills, pumpkin seeds. Oh, that's the biggest sunfish of the day there, buddy. Bluegills, pumpkin seeds, and then bluegill pumpkin seed hybrids. I got a chopper in the background here. Hearing him and seeing him in the background. So that's a beastie there. One buddy. Get a picture of him and we'll let him go. Alright, got one on the jig spinner here, and yeah, another nice. We got a lot of pumpkin seeds in this spot. We're getting occasional. Our first spot was mostly bluegills. This spot's mostly pumpkin seeds. We did get one hybrid in there too. This isn't as big as Parker's pumpkin seed, but it's still a pretty one. Those families of geese there. There. Moved to our third spot. Got a small bluegill on the first cast, and big beautiful bull on the second cast there. Good tip there, when these fish are on the beds, if you're catching them, you can spook them off the beds. If the bite slows down, have kind of a milk run of spots to go to a new spot, and then you can come back after 20 minutes and a half hour, and they'll be back on there, and they'll be back aggressively defending again. So beautiful bluegill there. We're going to get a photo of that one and get that back because we got our fish fry already. When I talk about sunfish defending their beds and their bedding and their spawning, you see here in the background the male sunfish swimming around in circles, and you can see depressions in the bottom underneath them. At the end here you'll see a classic bowl-shaped depression with a male sunfish guarding it, and a female actually below and behind him laying her eggs. The males make these depressions, fan them out with their fins. The females lay the eggs. Males guard the eggs until they hatch, and that's why they hit anything that moves. Hey there. Found some in another spot that I was talking about with the jig spinner, and kind of hitting that and not getting hooked, so we switched over to the bobber and catching them on that. Nice, beautiful male bluegill. Alright, whacked on the beetle spin here. Ooh, nice chunky pumpkin seed. We're figuring out here, since that water temp's 69 and a half, they're just getting started bedding, and generally the at least around here, the pumpkin seeds get started first. And they're the most aggressive. The bluegills, we're catching some, and we've caught some nice ones in one spot. Most of the other spots, the bluegills are nipping at it. They're coming up and looking at it. We've had a couple of bluegills come up and hit the bobber, but they're not grabbing the bait quite yet. I think they're just in the area getting ready to make their nests, and I think the pumpkin seeds have made, yeah, you can see his tail is all shaved off there from fanning out a nest. They've made the nest and they're starting to guard them already. So the best bluegill bite's just the pumpkin seeds going on now. The bluegill's about to get started. All right, got a bluegill here to hit the jig spinner. How big is that massive pumpkin seed? But still a good fish. At the end of the show here, we'll show these different baits we were using a little bit. Hey there, got hammer on the beetle spin and wanted to shoot video of this. Not only is it big, but there is a hybrid. That's a hybrid or a cross between a bluegill and a pumpkin seed. They can look a little more like a pumpkin seed sometimes, or a little more like a bluegill sometimes. This one looks a little more like a bluegill, but you can see it's not a pure bluegill. And it's got the big mouth of the pumpkin seed. It's got the orange up around the gill flap. It's got the whitish edge on the tail and the fins. So that is a bluegill pumpkin seed hybrid. That's about a 9-incher. That's a big boy there. We'll put that big boy back. All right, we're gonna call it a day here. We're just gonna go over our equipment. Again, we're searching for the sunfish on the beds and even crappies in the weeds, but this is my favorite panfish search bait, and it's just a jig spinner, I call it. It's a VNC Moon Eye jig, 1/16 ounce with a small jig spinner. Lots of companies make them. This happens to be a Cabela's. And then a Berkeley Power Bait 2-inch ripple shad on there. And just slow roll this along. Now today in a lot of places the pumpkin seeds have started bedding hard, and they were aggressive and chasing these down and eating them, and we were catching them. In some cases, if the fish are holding tight to the beds, they'll whack at them and then they'll show you where they're at, and then you might have to switch. But this was catching quite a few today, and then as we get into summer, over weedy reefs and points, we catch sunfish and crappies like crazy on these. When we had to stop, when the fish weren't wanting to move too far from the beds, we were just using a clip-on torpedo style bobber, a barrel swivel tied to the 4-pound test fire line, and then a liter of Berkeley Vanish for stealth, but also for abrasion resistance. And then hanging from there, again, that same 16th ounce VMC Moon Eye jig with a little, in this case, this is a little soft plastic tube, which you can use a tube, a little grub. Those are probably my two favorite. I will also, instead of this VMC Moon Eye jig, I'll put on the VMC. It's the Tony Roach tungsten jig. It's an ice fishing jig, but they make it in a 1/16th ounce size that is good for panfish in the summer, and that's a hair. It's a tungsten jig with hair on it, and then that flutters around that hair and attracts them too. Then we just throw that out and leave that sit above the beds. If you don't get hit right away, you know you're not on a bed, reel it a little bit, and as soon as you find where they're at, you try to mark that visually and keep casting back to those spots. And again, we're using St. Croix Panfish Series rods, ultralight 7 and 8 foot rods with Fluger President ultralight reels on there with 4-pound test Berkeley Fireline crystal. Hope you enjoyed this. Again, it's the time now. You get into early June. As soon as that water temperature gets around 70, find hard bottom areas, some of the same areas that bass might have bedded, inside of weeds. We've been watching the small female sunfish are schooling up on the weeds, waiting to move up to lay their eggs on the beds, and up on that firmer bottom inside the weeds is where the big bulls are making the beds. Females will come in and lay the eggs, bulls will fertilize them, bulls will guard the eggs, they'll guard until they hatch, and then everybody's on their own after that. Hope you enjoyed this. Get out and enjoy this. It's a great time to catch a ton of fish. For Parker Smutka, I'm Troy Smutka, Great Day on the Water Guide Service. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope to see you at our next one. Until then, good luck, and I will see you out there somewhere. A fresh meal of sunfish right up in a pan is tough to beat. We count 12 today for a good meal. Just put most of them back. We don't want to take them all out of the lake.